Hello, and welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. For this upload, we will be reading Leviticus chapter 27. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for the Lord by thy estimation, and thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old even unto 60 years old. Even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And if it be a female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels. And if it be from 5 years old, even unto 20 years old, then thy estimation shall be of the male 20 shekels, and for the female 10 shekels. And if it be from a month old, even unto 5 years old, then thy estimation shall be of the male 5 shekels of silver, and for the female thy estimation shall be 3 shekels of silver. And if it be from 60 years old and above, if it be a male, then thy estimation shall be 15 shekels, and for the female 10 shekels. But if he be poorer than thy estimation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall value him. According to his ability that vowed shall the priest value him. And if it be a beast whereof men bring an offering unto the Lord, all that any man giveth of such unto the Lord shall be holy. He shall not alter it, nor change it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the exchange thereof shall be holy. And if it be any unclean beast, of which they do not offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, then he shall present the beast before the priest. And the priest shall value it, whether it be good or bad, as thou valuest it. Who art the priest, so shall it be. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a fifth part thereof unto thy estimation. And when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad. As the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand. And if he that sanctified it will redeem his house, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thy estimation unto it, and it shall be his. And if a man shall sanctify unto the Lord some part of a field of his possession, then thy estimation shall be according to the seed thereof. An homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. And if he sanctify his field from the year of Jubilee, according to thy estimation it shall stand. But if he sanctify his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall reckon unto him the money according to the years that remain, even unto the year of the Jubilee, and it shall be abated from thy estimation. And if he that sanctified the field will in any wise redeem it, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thy estimation unto it, and it shall be assured to him. But if he will not redeem the field, or if he hath sold the field to another man, it shall not be redeemed any more. But the field, when it goeth out in the Jubilee, shall be holy unto the Lord, as a field devoted. The possession thereof shall be the priest's. And if a man sanctify unto the Lord a field which he hath bought, which is not of the fields of his possession, then the priest shall reckon unto him the worth of thy estimation, even unto the year of the Jubilee. And he shall give thine estimation in that day as a holy thing unto the Lord. In the year of the Jubilee, the field shall return unto him of whom it was bought, even to him to whom the possession of the land did belong. And all thy estimations shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary. 20 gerahs shall be the shekel. Only the firstling of the beasts, which should be the Lord's firstling, no man shall sanctify it, whether it be ox or sheep, it is the Lord's. And if it be of an unclean beast, then he shall redeem it according to thine estimation, and shall add a fifth part of it thereto. Or if it be not redeemed, then it shall be sold according to thy estimation, notwithstanding no devoted thing that a man shall devote unto the Lord of all that he hath, both of man and beast, in the field of his possession, shall be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy unto the Lord. None devoted, which shall be devoted of men, shall be redeemed, but shall surely be put to death. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth shall be holy unto the Lord. He shall not search whether it be good or bad, neither shall he change it. And if he change it at all, then both it and the change thereof shall be holy, it shall not be redeemed. These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai. Summarizing Leviticus chapter 27. So, this is another chapter, sort of like the last one, where I'm sort of stumbling through these last couple of chapters because I just don't feel like I'm making sense of them as clearly as some of the other things that I've read. And even with all the resources, I just feel like I don't completely understand. Again, I don't think it's my job to completely understand or to create this picture that I know every single thing, uh, or to insert what I think something means. I'm trying to do as less of that as possible and just summarize what is said only with the least amount of bias that I can. That being said, I'd like to go ahead and trudge through this chapter. So, uh, in the beginning, God speaks to Moses, saying, "Speak unto the children of Israel." And for these vows are these type of oblations that these people are having to make, payments for monetary value. And so, if a person is 20 years old to 60 years old, a male, that person will make a payment of 50 silver shekels. And um, if a person is female and they're in the same age range from 20 to 60, they will make a payment of 30 shekels for this vow oblation. Um, from verse 5 to 20, the male should make a 20 shekel payment, the female shall make a 10 shekel payment. From 1 month to 5 years old, the male shall make a 5 shekel payment, and for females, it's a 3 shekel payment. If the person is 60 or above, the male should make 15 shekels, and the female should make 10 shekels payments. If a person cannot pay the monetary value assigned to them, the priest will help to decide the amount to be paid. And now here comes some of the confusion. So verse 9 and verse 10, I don't completely understand. Okay, so if the vow is an animal that may be offered to the Lord, then the animal becomes holy if it's acceptable. And then verse 10, this is where I just had a question mark. If he shall not exchange it or make a substitute, but if he does, then both it and the substitute are holy. So this sentence is basically saying if a person substitutes one animal for another, then both animals are holy. Why did we need to start this out saying he shall not exchange or make a substitute if there's still, like, you can still do it anyway? Then why do we need to know that you shouldn't do it? You know, so that made me have a question mark over my head, like, why? Verse 11, I don't understand. Okay, if a ceremonially unclean animal is presented, the priest shall determine its appropriate value. Okay, and then if the person wants to redeem it, they have to pay the value that the priest communicated to them, plus an additional 20%. So this doesn't make sense, because why would you want to redeem an animal that you're giving for a vow sacrifice? In I don't know. So then, when someone dedicates their home as a gift to the Lord, the priest must estimate its value. If he then wants to buy it back, he shall add 20%. Now, this kind of makes sense to me about the house, because I can see someone doing that. Just think about it. You go to church, you're in the spirit, or maybe you've had some supernatural event happen to you. You're feeling really holy. Now you want to make an oblation. That's a big statement. And after you make it, you realize I really can't afford it. So I need to do something to get that back. I can see that happening. Plus, that's giving until it hurts or giving until it's uncomfortable is a very popular sentiment uh, in Christianity, unfortunately. So, and I don't want to be that person, but the when people say that, like, I don't see where it says it in the Bible, and maybe I haven't got to that verse yet. Rarely is that sentiment, you know, we're seeing a Bible, usually a person is giving a personal anecdote of why you should give until you're uncomfortable, why you should give until it hurts, you know, but we don't see where the Bible says that. And when we see this here, you know, God is having to give uh, guidelines on when people want to get their items back because they've sown them. So, and so then we have verse 16, which I am muddling through as well. If a person gives their land, that is their generational inheritance, okay, then the value of the land is going to be determined by the amount of seed that can be planted there. Verse 17, if a person dedicates their land during the year of Jubilee, it says from the year, but some of these are saying to the year, then the value shall stand for the rest until the next Jubilee. But if you dedicate the field after Jubilee, then the priest shall calculate the price according to the proximity to Jubilee. And so if you haven't watched the other video, or you didn't, flip over there to your Bible, Leviticus chapter 26 is discussing, and actually this verse and verse 26 are guidelines for what the Israelites need to do once they go into the land of Canaan. And when we look, why I have this verse up here, when you look at Leviticus chapter 18:27, the land became unclean. And so it was because of the action that they were doing on the land. So now there is, let me see, because I would like to just see if I can find. Okay. Well, to be honest, I should have just done this before. Okay, I found it. So Leviticus chapter 19, verse 23, God tells the Israelites, when you go into this new land, for 3 years you can't eat it. The fourth year you have to consecrate it. And then the fifth year you can finally eat of the new land. So verse 27, or chapter 27 in the Bible, was not chapter 27, chapter 26 of the Bible. I just want to make sure I have the right things. It's not chapter 26, it was chapter 25. But see, that's why you need to read behind people and keep up, because even if you're studying all the time, I miss it. And there's times I'll watch my videos and I'll be like, dang, I said him when I should have said her. I said this when I should have said that. And even though I can have it up here on the screen, I will still miss it. So, Leviticus chapter 25, this is the Sabbaths, okay? And why this is important is because, again, when we look at Leviticus chapter 18 and 19, God is explaining there was so much sin done on this land that the crops are now unclean. So you need to give this land a rest because there was something horrible done on the land and it affected the land. So that's what chapter 25 was. And it was saying every seventh year, you don't plant anything on the land, you don't harvest anything. So that's why in this seventh year is called the year of Jubilee. And that's why it's this year of celebration. People get their land and possessions back. And also, you know, you don't harvest or plant. Okay, I know that was redundant myself. But the reason why this is, you know, important is because now when we get to Leviticus 27:17, it's saying dedicating the field in proximity to the year of Jubilee, the value of the land changes. So because you can't harvest anything on that seventh year, if you try to sell your land right before the seventh year, you're not going to be able to use the land to get any crops. So it doesn't make sense to give that person a lot of money because they're not going to be able to get any use out of it. What you're supposed to do is either dedicate it the year of Jubilee so that the price is the same no matter when it gets, or, maybe people start using it right away because that would make sense. But either dedicate it in the land of Jubilee, in the year of Jubilee, or dedicate it, maybe the next year following, so that whoever you sell it to can get enough use out of the land for it to turn a profit and to be useful to the person. So I hope that was clear, but it makes sense to me now. And so we see here again, this is what I'm saying, according to the proximity of when it's being saved, when it's being okay. Because this is the battery's about to die, and I'm going to be so mad if I have to record this yet again. Sometimes I'm recording this multiple times before I even get it, because it'll be things like I'll play it back and this, my sources don't show. And even though I don't think it's such a huge deal because a person can just read the Bible with you, I don't like that. And that's something that I've had a problem with myself, is that, if you can't read and see where someone is getting some information, then you have to rely on that person to be honest with you. And I don't want to have that much. I don't like that. I would much rather, when I say something, have the text right here so that even if I get it wrong or I misinterpret something, that's the same thing, isn't it? That's redundant. Even if I get it wrong, you can see where I was going with it because you see the text right here. Yet you can get, the verse, and you can look it up yourself. You can come here to Bible Ref yourself, which is what I think you should do. And you should be looking to see if I have discrepancies, or you should be looking, because that's what you're supposed to do, is make it make sense for yourself and derive meaning for yourself. So in verse 18, verse 19, if you dedicate your field and you wish to redeem it, you have to pay the amount that the priest communicates plus 20%. And this is another thing that I looked at and I was just like, this doesn't make sense to me. Okay, because if he doesn't wish to redeem it, or it's been sold to another man, it can't be redeemed. Now I kind of understand if it's been sold to another man, but we're even going to go further, and I'm still going to have a question mark about this. So Going back. Okay, so if you dedicate your field and you wish to redeem it, and this is family land or an inheritance, right? So if you have an inheritance, you dedicate it on the year of Jubilee, the value of the monetary value is still the same. But if you dedicate it after Jubilee, the priest will calculate the price according to the proximity of that 7th year. And then it says, anyone who wishes to redeem it shall add a fifth to the price that the priest quoted, or 20%, and then the person can get it. And so this is one thing I don't get, or we're going to see later why this is confusing, okay? If the person does not wish to redeem the field or it's been sold, it shall not be redeemed anymore. If the person doesn't wish to redeem it, then it shall not be redeemed. That, like, I feel like that's redundant, because if you don't get it, then you don't get it. That, why did that need to be written again? Okay. And then it says here, the field that we just talked about for verse 16 until now, once it's released in the Jubilee, it should be given to the priest. So I don't, and then we're going to go to the next one. Okay? If this is not a family land or a land that is, acquired through an inheritance, and a person has some land and they want to dedicate that, right? The priest will calculate the amount according to how close it is to the year of Jubilee. And then in the year of Jubilee, the land returns to the person that it was inherited from. So the person who had their inheritance, they sell their land to somebody else. The person that they sell it to, donates it to the church, and it goes back to the person whose family, uh, it was their inheritance. And the reason why is because we just said here, uh, it can't be redeemed anymore. So I'm definitely struggling with this, because it says here the field, in this case, the land should return to the person who it's their inheritance. But in this case, if it can't be redeemed, and it actually ends up going to the priest. So I don't understand why in this case, from verse 16 to verse 21, that land ends up going to the priest. But when we look at the scenario that the person acquires land and it's not their inheritance, that goes back to the person whose original inheritance was. And to be honest, I've been thinking about it and trying to make sense of it, and these last couple of chapters really did kick my butt. So okay, so now the firstborn that belongs to the Lord, the firstborn beast already belongs to the Lord, so that can't be given as a vow. And then if it's an unclean animal, then it can be bought back. The priest has to give an assessment and then add the 20%, which again, I don't understand why you'd want to buy an animal back, but and then another thing that made me even more where I don't understand. No devoted thing that a man devotes can be redeemed or sold. So what was all this other stuff about the land and it goes back to the other person and if you want to buy it back, add 20%? I don't understand. I don't understand. Verse 29. No one who is set apart for destruction shall be ransomed. They shall be put to death. So what how I read this was the people that like if you blaspheme God and you were required to be stoned to death, like now you can't be redeemed. You're set apart for destruction. And you can't be there's no amount of money that can be paid to save you. Okay. So that's how I read that. And then another thing that made me confused. Every tithe of the land is the Lord's. It's holy. Okay? But if you want to buy some of your tithe back, you have to pay the full amount plus add fifth or 20%. Every tithe is the Lord's. And again, this is one shall not differentiate good or bad and not to make a substitution. But if you do make a substitution, both the animal and the substitute will be holy. I just don't understand why this sentence couldn't have been written as if you a substitution for one animal for another, both shall be holy. And they can't be redeemed, they can't be bought back. So how is this an exchange if you just give them a second animal? Then these are the commandments that the Lord commanded Moses. So I was definitely struggling on that one and on the previous one. And to be honest, I feel like I've been struggling since chapter 25, but I do feel much more confident about what I know from chapter 25 than the other one. Oh, no, I don't. That was the one where I said, it's not my responsibility to defend Christianity. Okay, so maybe I'll just say that this is the end of the book of Leviticus. And to be honest, I am excited to be getting into another chapter. But yeah, I feel like I don't feel as confident about these last couple. So the next upload will be Numbers chapter 1. Thank you for watching up until this point.